Even though America is one of the top producers of oil, our gas is still expensive. And the reason is because we don't own it. Companies like Chevron, ExxonMobil, they own that gas. All of the natural resources sitting under our feet on our land, we don't own. Somebody else fucking owns them. When we invade another country and we shed our fucking blood and take their resources, we don't get shit. Other companies get all of that fucking money. Here's my plan for the future of America. I'm gonna talk fast because there's a lot to cover. First, we nationalize all of our natural resources. I know Republicans are freaking out right now, but hear me out. Those resources are ours. And we take the profit from those natural resources. And of course, we pay for overhead, research and development, expansion, and what's left over, we invest in a fund that gains interest. This is what Alaska does. But the problem with what Alaska does is they take the dividends and they pay that money to the citizens. We shouldn't do that. We should take those dividends and we should pay for things like trade school, college, healthcare. But we need to change all of those institutions to single payer systems. I know you're freaking out, but hear me out. I'm going to address the profit motive in 1 second. But with a single payer system, the cost of all of that, of college, of healthcare, drastically goes down now. So that money that we have invested that's gaining interest and it's getting bigger, that all of a sudden goes way further. But I'm a big fan of capitalism and I want to keep it. I still want shareholders. I still want profit incentive. These pharmaceutical companies, they already get federal grants to pay for their research. That means our tax dollars are paying those companies to develop cures that they turn around and they sell those cures back to the American taxpayer for an for a huge amount of money. That's bullshit because we're funding it. So here's what we do. We keep the grant system. We keep giving them grants. But when they develop certain cures or certain goals within their research, they get a reward for it. Let's say, I don't know, $100 billion over 10 years. So their shareholders are happy. The profit motive is still there. So capitalism still exists. But when they develop a cure, they don't own the patent. The American people do. Get this. This is the fucking best part right now. And we take that patent and we sell it to other countries. And with that money, it goes back into that fund. That shit balloons up. Sure, there's a whole bunch of fucking problems to this system. But my point is there are creative solutions to all of these fucking problems. All of them. And we need to start demanding that our leaders start developing creative solutions so that we can create a better future for our children. All right?
How dare he? A man that never drove a truck or a tractor in his life. How dare he speak like that to all these hard-working people? They're not wrong to protest. They're being robbed. The margin that they were getting last week was their wages. That's all they were running on. Nothing. I know about these transport guys. I worked for years as mechanic and transport. It's a very, very small margin what they're working for. And for Micheál Martin and his ministers and pals and it all to come out and say they're wrong, that they shouldn't protest and all this, and they'll bring the army on and drag them off the street as if they're criminals. It's totally wrong. How dare he do that? It's very wrong for him to do that. And that's why I came tonight to lend my support to him. I'm semi-retired. I don't need to be here. But I feel very sorry for the young people in Ireland. They're going to have nothing. Nothing. It's a disgrace. And the country must be on its knees to say he can't reduce the taxes and control the prices of diesel for these people. They're the bone of the industry. They're the bone of society, growing crops, diesel, transport, everything. It's all tied in together. It's all tied in together.
I hope it won't come to that. None of us want that. I mean, there's a lot of us here with gear that, like that, we're finding it hard to keep them going. Not to mind try and fix them after this, but I don't know. Do you back down or do you not? I suppose it's hard to know. Like that, look, if we have enough of a volume of people here, we're hoping that we'd be able to hold our own and there won't be any drama. And look, we don't want drama. None of us here want drama.
Yep. We're not criminals. And Jim O'Callaghan and Micheál Martin should be ashamed to think that we're the people that paid the bills in the country, keep the country running.
Where are all of the MAGA people that complained about the gas prices under Joe Biden? Where are all of the MAGA people, the black people, white people, Spanish people, whatever you are, Middle East, I don't want to leave nobody out, Arabs, Asians, whatever. Where y'all at for the ones who all complain about the gas price under Joe Biden? Because y'all forgot that the pandemic happened under Trump and then The gas prices went up because of that. And because we withdrew from Russia because Russia attacked Ukraine. So then we put sanctions on Russian oil, which was going to make the gas prices go up anyways. But Joe found a way to make it work. And what happened to all y'all drill baby drill people? What happened to all y'all drill baby drill people? What happened to the fact that he said we was going to be all this oil and the prices was going to be all this cheap and all of that? The prices was the same price they was when Joe Biden left the office. It might have went down by 10 or 15 cent average. But now the gas prices is back at $4.30. So I'm trying to figure out, why was it okay for y'all to go attack Joe Biden? Why was it okay to go attack Joe Biden so much about gas prices and all of this stuff? But somehow under this leader, y'all okay with paying $4? Why ain't nobody complaining about the $4.30 that we paying? And then Simone said it's $5 where she live at. And it's about to be almost $5 in Florida where I'm at. So this is the biggest spike in gas prices in 1 month in history. In history. So somehow it's okay because it's under his watch. Why aren't y'all out here having a fit like y'all did when it was Joe Biden's turn? Why y'all ain't having a fit? We were supposed to have drill baby drill and we supposed to be all of this. We went over here and started a war with Iran. Y'all ain't complaining about that. They said Joe Biden is making us look weak. Is it me or all these other people starting to realize that he the only one that be bluffing? He threatened people with all kind of tariffs. He didn't do it. He go back on his word with every threat that he made. They call him Taco because they say he always chicken out. He always threatening people and he never following through. Which is why when he told Iran either open it or else they ignored him.
$6.39, $6.59, $6.79 per gallon of gas. That's what people are paying here in my district, right here in the heart, in Boa Heights. This is a working class community. These people work multiple jobs to make ends meet. And when the price goes up, these families get squeezed. And because Trump's illegal war with Iran, he's making this energy crisis even worse. It's going to take weeks for prices to come down, maybe even months. Everything that you pay for, you're going to see those prices go up in order to cover the cost. We've seen that some shipping companies, including Amazon, charging a fuel surcharge in order to cover the cost of gas. This is about our families making sure that they can survive and they can make it to the next paycheck. And it's getting harder and harder in Trump's America.
So you would have voted for Donald Trump in a third term?
Yeah, I think I would.
And what do you think about the Constitution?
I'm a constitutionalist.
What about the 22nd Amendment that would prohibit him from running for a third term?
Yeah, it would. I would bother me, but
But you would still get your vote.
you would still get my vote.
I was just thinking about something about the difference between Republican-run states and Democrat-run states. Let me know if you've thought about this, and if you are a MAGA, what's your response? Imagine if blue states had a 40% higher murder rate than red states. Imagine if blue states were only 29% of America's economy and red states were 71%. Imagine if 9 of the top 10 states to get federal welfare benefits from the government, these handouts, were blue states. Imagine if 9 of the top 10 states for maternal mortality and infant mortality were blue states. Imagine if 9 of the top 10 states for gun violence and gun death were blue states. But you know why you never hear Republicans cite the statistics? Republicans scream about law and order, but have a 40% higher murder rate than blue states. Republicans scream about the economy, but 71% of the economy is from blue states, only 29% from red states. Republicans claim they despise the federal government, but 9 of the top 10 states to get federal handouts are red states. Republicans claim guns make us safer, but 16 of the top 17 states with gun violence and death rates are GOP states. Republicans claim they are the party of pro-life, but 9 of the top 10 states for maternal mortality and infant mortality are Republican states. So Republicans and MAGAs, here's my very simple question to you. Everything you claim your policies will do, our policies actually do. So my question is, what exactly are you fighting for?
Poverty in the South makes people just wait to die. And I don't mean that in like a depressed, like, oh, I'm going to kill myself sense. No, I mean like there's nothing there for them. Like from buildings to life experiences to hospitals, there's just nothing there. They are simply waiting every day for death to come take them. There's no eventfulness. There's no fun. It's you wake up and just exist. Painfully, brutally, and isolated with nothing but the community that you have. And then once that community's gone, it's just you waiting to die. Because there's such a lack of investment that people understand in cities. In cities, you get stimulation. You get faces, you get things. That's not a thing in the rural South that people don't understand. You are poor if you're from a poor state. It doesn't matter how rich you are, because the services are generally offered by the state, and that determines the quality of it. So if you're in Louisiana and you're poor in Louisiana, there's nothing to do other than wait for the release of death.
When you listen closely, there's a lot of complaints. And one of the things that makes it even
So right-wing grifters are outflanking the Democratic Party, but it's not because they've suddenly discovered a conscience. It's because they can see what party leaders refuse to admit. Most people in the United States, they are done with Clinton-era neoliberal economics and Bush-era neoconservative forever wars. For years, Democrats have clung to their consultants and donors and think tanks that keep insisting the center is whatever corporations want and whatever cable news organizations are willing to tolerate on air. They have governed like it's still the 1990s, even though voters have lived through a financial crisis, the Iraq War, COVID, and now Gaza. So into this vacuum walk people like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. They sense that the country is sick of endless war, elite impunity, and bipartisan corruption. So they dress themselves up as truth tellers and anti-establishment rebels, and they say things about Israel and Gaza and the United States empire that corporate Democrats are too chicken shit to touch. And then they wrap all of this up in conspiracy, bigotry, and brand deals. The grift is simple for them. Follow the anger, not the actual principle. When the base shifts, they shift. When anti-Semitic or anti-migrant rhetoric pays, they keep pushing it harder. When criticizing U.S. foreign policy gets them more clicks, they lean into that. Not to stand with Palestinians or the global South, but to actually grow an audience they can sell to. Meanwhile, the Democratic establishment acts like it's still 2015. They talk about norms and bipartisanship while housing is unaffordable, wages are lagging, cops are militarized, and people watch genocide live streamed from Gaza on their phones. They keep chasing donors and respectability instead of actually representing the people who put them in office. That refusal to listen creates a perfect opening for right-wing grifters. Because when voters feel ignored, abandoned, or smeared for caring about Palestine, about inequality, or policing, the far right steps in and says, actually, you're right. The elites hate you. Come with us. They weaponize actual grievances into reactionary politics, and then they call it rebellion or revolution. Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson know exactly what they're doing. They're not ahead of the Democrats because they're more brave or more honest. They are ahead of the Democrats because they are willing to chase the public wherever the anger goes. And they twist that anger into a funnel for fascism and profit. And unless Democrats stop pretending it is a normal news cycle and start actually fighting for their own base on Gaza, on wages, on housing, and healthcare, the right is going to keep outflanking them. They will keep selling revolution in a box delivered by billionaires, stamping anti-establishment on it and filling it with the same old damn hate.
Seeing gas prices makes me irrationally angry, and it's not necessarily because of the price, even though that sucks. It's because of what the price represents. Because we told you that this man who ran on gas prices being lower, grocery prices being lower, inflation being lower, the economy being better, no wars. We told you he was lying. We told you he was going to bamboozle you. And he did. And I don't even feel happy saying I told you so, because we all lose. We're all losing. Because you believed a con man. Because you blindly followed a proven con man. And you're still blindly following him. So every time I see it, it just makes my blood curdle, because I'm like, you told me that there was going to be lower gas prices. You told me that I was a snowflake and a lot of other things, because I didn't believe him when he said that, because I knew that wasn't going to happen. And now they're even higher directly because of him. And so, again, it's not an I told you so, but I told you so. I told you. And I'm mad because you promised me. You promised me that Donald Trump was going to wave a magic wand and everything was going to be great. And we knew that wasn't going to happen, and you didn't listen. So, thanks a lot.
Remember when we had high gas prices with Joe Biden, and all you would hear from MAGA was how awful it was? And now we have high gas prices again. But for some reason, I don't hear any MAGA complaining. Crazy.
I was having my car washed the other day, and there was a man that was having his vehicle washed also, right? So we're both waiting on the people to finish our cars and just sitting in the waiting area. This guy was on his phone. And when I tell you he was pissed, baby, he was highly pissed. I mean, he had got red in the face and he was practically foaming at the mouth. Whoever he was on the phone with was getting an earful, and so was everybody in the waiting area for that matter, right? Trump ain't worth a damn. Playing golf during a war he started. This ain't what I voted for. Oh, my gas is too high. I mean, he was just going on and on, just really upset. All because he had gone to a filling station and he said it cost him around $4 a gallon for his gasoline. Okay, so when his car was ready, he got in, still on the phone now, rolled his window down, still yelling in the phone about the cost of his gasoline, and he drove off still yelling and hollering. And that's kind of been on my mind a little bit ever since then, because I got to thinking about all the things that could have pushed him over the edge, but didn't, okay? It wasn't the rapes or the documented pedophilia. It wasn't the Epstein files. It wasn't the mocking of a disabled reporter. It wasn't the racism, the sexism, or the xenophobia. It wasn't the cozy relationship with hate groups. It wasn't January the 6th. It wasn't the using of government offices to enrich himself, his family, and his cronies. He wasn't bothered about that. It wasn't declaring war without the approval of Congress. Care less about that. Never mentioned it. It wasn't alienating and threatening our allies. Not at all. It wasn't deporting people to concentration camps here and abroad. Could care less. It wasn't the deaths of hundreds of thousands when U.S. aid was shut down illegally. Care less about that. It wasn't the kidnapping of a foreign president, which is by definition a war crime. It wasn't handing American citizens data over to Doge and Elon Musk. He never mentioned that. It wasn't the tariffs, which are taxes you and I pay, not China, us. It wasn't accepting a $400 million private jet from Qatar and saying he plans on keeping it. It wasn't ignoring the Constitution, stacking the Supreme Court, or the cabinet full of criminals and clowns that he got up there. Never mentioned that. And I could go on and on and on, but for what difference would it make? Because none of that moved him. It was the price of gas. Gas prices. I feel like I saw everything that's wrong with America in just that one moment at that car wash. And it makes me very tired and very, very angry. Because if that is where the line is, if that is how low the bar is, baby, we are in serious trouble.
I'm going to lose my damn mind over this gas price thing. I am going to literally have to be sent to an insane asylum. Western state, here I come. Because if I have to listen to one more Democrat complain about the gas prices right now, like literally just send me to Western state. And again, I feel the need, so it doesn't come off as me being a hypocrite. Yes, the war in Iran is increasing gas prices. Yes, that's what's happening right now. But I don't want to hear Democrats who have not complained.
Gas prices will likely be going up once again following this latest salvo from President Trump. The national average, as you can see, is at $4.11 a gallon. California close to $6, the highest average in the Bay Area can be found in San Rafael. The rising fuel costs are trickling down not just to drivers, but to the price of doing business. Amazon is the latest company to add on a fuel surcharge to deliveries. ABC 7 Eyewitness News reporter Suzanne Fahn gives us a closer look.
Rising fuel prices mean sticker shock at the pump for many Bay Area drivers, like Jill of Pleasant Hill.
It's at $137, so that's significant.
Delivery drivers are feeling the squeeze too. To counter rising fuel costs amid the conflict in the Middle East, Amazon plans to tack a temporary 3.5% fuel surcharge on its third-party sellers starting April 17th.
Transportation cost is a big factor there.
Dima Lashinsky is professor of finance at Menlo College.
Every company that is involved in that has logistics and they have to pay for gas, either they have to absorb this cost or they will charge the third party that will provide this service.
The e-commerce giant is following in the footsteps of UPS, FedEx, and the U.S. Postal Service. Starting April 26, USPS is slapping a temporary 8% price hike on certain packages, including priority mail shipments, because of increasing fuel prices. That means customers may have to pay more for deliveries.
That's crazy. It's going to slow people down from ordering stuff.
One way or another, this is going to ripple through the supply chain and ripple through our pocketbooks.
Supply chain expert Andy Tsai is a professor at Santa Clara University, Levy School of Business.
The higher oil prices are lifting shipping and logistics costs. Seeing it at Amazon, seeing it at UPS, USPS. I don't think there's any escape. Mortgage rates are going up. Everybody's been talking about affordability since before the previous presidential election. And the geopolitical situation is not making things any better.
Economic experts say as gas prices continue to rise, food delivery apps are also likely.
Nothing more inspiring than seeing people stand up for what they believe in. Over in Ireland today, they are fucking standing up and in mass. And they're standing up to the government because the cost of living is spiralling out of fucking control. And they've had enough. Quite simply, they've had enough. The farmers, truckers, and even this little fella. Roll the clip. Now we might be running on electric, but that spiralling cost of diesel affects everyone. Families especially. And this is what the government can't seem to quite wrap the fucking head around. That for every business this harms, for every person this harms, there's kids attached. Families are suffering because of the cost of living. In Ireland, you're doing what you need to do. You've got my support, as I'm sure you've got millions of people's support. Just hope that they come to a resolution that benefits the people sooner rather than later.
There have been a number of convoys organised across the country which have been clogging up the country's main roads, its main motorways, and many of them making their way towards major urban centres. 28 towns and cities in total, the organisers say, have been hit by these protests. I am joined by the PRO for the protest movement, James Gagan. James, just tell us, we're on O'Connell Street now. It's been brought to a complete standstill. What is the intention here?
The intention here is we're having a rally here at 3 o'clock. I think we're about 600 vehicles coming in, parking up at the moment. We're here to highlight the issues with the fuel prices. We are simply going out of business. Personally, my fuel bill is going up 70,000 this year. I can't pass it on to customers, so what do? Do I go out of business, or do we try and wake up the government to see the problem here? The problem is unbelievable. The house building thing is completely grinding to a halt at the moment. Diggers were sent home last week. They're not going back to dig out foundations next week. So the house building is just slowing down, which is a disaster for the government. And it'll be a disaster on the tax take. So it's a knock-on effect, a domino effect. So we are asking for the government to reduce green diesel to 90 cents plus VAT, put a cap on it basically, and then we know where we can go with our business.
Well, what's your message to people? Obviously, you're here in O'Connell Street, the main thoroughfare of the capital city. It's been brought to a standstill. When's your intention to move on? Is there any intention to move on? What's your message to people who haven't put out?
Absolutely. There's actually no intention to move on until we get some dialogue with government. And the government are going to have to come down and speak to us. We have a team of negotiators there ready to talk to them. But like, this is so serious. We're trying to get the government to realise how serious it is, and that's the big issue here. The government are not listening, and they don't realise how serious it is for the economy. We're actually not here looking for handouts from the government. We're here trying to get the government to reduce fuel costs to keep the economy running for everyone's sake. If the economy crashes as we are predicting, the country's in serious trouble. And that's what we're trying to avoid.
Increased fuel costs are going to impact, obviously, civil construction, tourism. Hardly anyone's exempt or immune from the impacts. That's why we've done the sorts of things we've done. With the levers we've pulled, especially the excise cut and the heavy vehicle user charge, because that flows through to the supermarkets, to everything that's delivered in a truck. That's a good thing. We've always recognised that fuel will have an impact on the entire supply chain. That's why we've taken the sorts of actions that we have taken, and we'll always consider what more needs to be done.
$32 and I'm barely at 8 gallons. That's what happens when you vote MAGA, baby.
Brian Jimenez is a student at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley.
So right now, my tank's not all the way empty, as I said. So just imagine this, but with the addition of $20 or $25.
He, like many other young Latinos here in South Texas, voted for Donald Trump in 2024.
It really just came down to immigration. You know, like there was a lot of people coming here illegally. As legal Mexican Americans, we were looking at Biden like, you're not holding your end of the stick, dude.
Gen Z and Latino voters are credited with helping Trump to victory. They're also the two demographics who spend a higher percentage of their income on gas compared to other Americans, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics and Bank of America.
College is very expensive. And then you have gas prices. We have to balance classes. We have to balance the financial stress. It is so much.
I travel 45 minutes to get here, 45 minutes to go back. It is a pain at pump that I see, especially when gas is $3.80. It's hitting people here.
Gas prices nationally have jumped to an average of around $4 a gallon since the war in Iran began. Today, Brian is paying $3.82.
And that's $65. We'll see if that even filled up all the way.
Trump won Hidalgo County in 2024, flipping it from Biden's victory in 2020.
It was a very, very, very hard thing, especially down here in the Valley, to get all these Latino voters to vote for you. Because here's the thing, Latinos, they're conservative, but not by a lot. Like, they vote with their pockets.
I am your warrior. We will take care of it.
As a Latino myself, that affordability is a big issue for us. If we're not focused on that as conservatives, we might lose the Latino population. And this surge of Latinos towards conservative ideology, we need to capitalize on that. And I don't think this war is going to help us do that.
The Republican Party promised, and President Trump promised, affordability. And that's what we want. If we don't fix that quick enough, by the time the midterms come around, unfortunately, we're going to see a bloodbath.
I don't regret my vote, though. Trump actually had a plan. Give the American people what they want, but don't talk about it, like actually deliver.
There is something seriously wrong with this gas that we are putting in our car. I don't care what they say. They are doing something to this gas. 3 days ago, I put $60 in my car. That gave me 232 miles to empty. I work from home, so I hardly ever have to go anywhere. So when I got in my car today, I noticed that I only had 147 miles to empty. So I'm like, that's not right. Let me monitor this gas. As y'all can see, the time is 12:02. I'm only going 30 miles per hour at this point. 12:04, I came to a complete stop. 144 miles to empty. Light changed and I accelerated. 143 miles to empty, still 12:04. Still 12:04, 142 miles. I'm not even speeding. 12:05, I'm approaching another stoplight. 139 miles to empty. 12:06, 138. 30 miles. Again, I'm not speeding. 12:06, 137 miles. 12:07, 136 miles. Still going at a very low speed. 12:07 still, 135 miles. 12:07 still, 134 miles. 12:08, 133 miles to empty. Still 12:08, 132 miles. 12:09, 131 miles. 12:09, 130 miles to empty. The only time my gas does not burn that fast is if I go to Costco. Costco is the only gas station right now that I've tested that does not do this to my gas. For anyone ask, no, I do not have a leak. I just had my car inspected. There's nothing wrong with it. They are simply doing something to this gas. I don't know what they are doing, but they are doing something to this gas. I should not burn 17 miles in a matter of 7 minutes. I don't care what I'm doing. That is not normal.
That right there is not good at all. There's something wrong with this gas. All right, guys, testing for 15% ethanol in the gas today at Shell, where it's $3.79. Where is it where you are? And don't forget to tell me where you want me to go next. So the E15 gas will be in almost every gas station across the United States in 3 weeks. And you guys have posted these pics in the comments where you've seen it in your states, like Missouri and South Carolina and Texas so far. I'm assuming gas stations will be able to issue it how they want, but if it's anything like these, you'll be forced to pay the premium price if you want E10. So what do you think about that? Would you consider that a form of consumer manipulation or price gouging? All right, we're gonna do plus today. All right, let's check and see if this gas meter is set properly and we're getting what we paid for. All right, for Shell, 247 works. Anything under 0.250 is okay. That means that they have everything set correctly. All right, water fill line is right on. Here we go, like we always do. Gas to the gas line. There we go. Shake for 45. And then wait 5. Look at this. I let this go 10 minutes instead of 5, and you still can't even see through it. This is absolutely the worst test I've seen so far. That right there is not good at all. There's something wrong with this gas. And that could be a couple things. It could be water contamination. It could be phase contamination. There could be other additives or impurities in there, or it could be old gas. I mean, it's possible that the ethanol, and that's what it does, is it attracts water, that it pulled water into this gas, so there's water in it. All right, so for Shell, I guess we give it to them for hitting the E10 level. But I wouldn't put this in my gas tank, would you?
And this is why voting matters, because it's not just that we attacked Iran unprovoked, which made them close the Strait of Hormuz in retaliation. It's that now there will forever be a surcharge on all oil and all liquid natural gas globally. That's because the Strait of Hormuz used to be free. It used to be free to use. You just came and went as you wished. But when Iran says, okay, now we're going to charge ships to go through, and Oman agrees with us, there's nothing you can do, because the Panama Canal charges people. The Suez Canal charges. But the Strait of Hormuz never charged a penny for passage. So if Iran and Oman say now boats have to pay, no one can argue that that's not fair or a bad idea, because every other similar waterway charges. So because of the actions of the Trump administration, not having a mitigation plan, not understanding the geography fully, there's now going to be that surcharge, because now they're saying $2 million per ship to pass through. They might change that and say, oh, 10% of whatever the shipment is worth. But any type of monetary toll, any type of toll to get through the Strait of Hormuz is going to be felt through the energy, through the gas industry. They are going to put that extra charge back onto the customers, back onto the consumers. And this is why it's problematic. This is why you need people in charge that know what they're doing. But they fired so many experts and just put any old random person there who didn't have the same level of expertise as a lot of the people that were already there. This is why voting matters. And so people who say, I don't do politics, politics will do you. Oh, and have a good night.
Why is gas $5 a gallon? And like, why do I have to pay rent? And why is rent so high? And why do I have to drive my car and get the gas that I have to get to go to the job that I have to pay for rent? Why do I have to do all of that stuff? And why are you making it so fucking expensive to do it? I don't even want to get out and pump my gas. It feels like getting out and just knowing someone's gonna fucking stab you. Why would you get out? This is beginning. This is the beginning of life. What am I supposed to do forever? I have to get a fucking horse.
So America's making economic history in two ways, but neither is good. First off, the month-to-month increase in gas prices is the worst we've ever seen. That's obviously a problem. In addition to that, consumer sentiment is now down below where it's ever been since they started even measuring this statistic way back in 1960. So it kind of tells you where this economy is headed and all of the things that Donald Trump has done. The tariffs, the immigration policy, the stupid war with Iran, all of it, and you could probably throw corruption on top of that, has been sheer poison for this economy, for me, and for you, and for the rest of us that cannot just steal from the government like Donald Trump.
We, the people, are suffering. Gas prices have gone up 22% since the start of the war.
All right, let's do something weird and take Harry at his word. Let's actually believe that the American people are suffering with gas at $2.90 a gallon. I'm going to believe him. Now, Harry, if the American people are suffering with gas at $2.90, what were they doing all 4 years Biden was president? Because the last time gas was this low, it was 4 months into the Biden presidency. By the time Biden was president for 90 days, gas was already more expensive than it is right now. And it stayed way more expensive the entire time he was in office. Now, here's the problem with that, Harry. I cannot remember a single time under the Biden presidency where you said Americans were suffering because of the price of gas. Not once. If you could show me the video, I'd love to see it. In fact, I'll bet you I could find videos where you said that the president has nothing to do with the price of gas. But regardless, if Americans are suffering at $2.90 a gallon, why were you talking about them suffering at $4.44 or $4.92? Now, just curious, Harry.
Since the Iran war that has started, a lot of people have been speaking about their gas and saying that how quickly their gas has been running out as of late. Now, this sister's actually bringing it, to attention, but let's go ahead and check this out. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with y'all. I have not noticed that with any of the gas that I'm using now. I do go to Costco and I fill up there, or I go to Shell. That's the only two places I normally go. And I've never had an issue with Shell's gasoline or Costco gasoline. I have told people, because I used to work in the petrochemical industry for 22 years, all gasoline is not created equal based on the additives, okay? So if you're going to use gasoline, use tier 3 gasoline. Or you can look it up online, what companies offer tier 3 gasoline. That's number one. Now, the ones that I always would fool with is like you say your Costco, your Shell, your Texaco, your Chevron, like the Techron additive. I'll fool with that. Exxon, I would only mess with the premium from Exxon. I wouldn't mess with nothing else from them. But Valero, I never liked their gas. They premium run like a regular to me. But I will suggest to use premium unleaded, 93 octane. Why? Because the higher the octane, the slower the burn on in a car. So when you do 87, they say, "Oh, my car say 87. It can run regular." It can run regular, but it would be better for you to run premium. Now, when me and my wife first got together, she was like that. I'm not putting no premium in my car, and that's too much money. And I told her when she kept filling up gas one time, this had nothing to do with no war. She was just going to work. I said, look, I'm going to put some premium unleaded in your car. So let's see how many times you go back to fill up gas. After she saw she wasn't stopping and filling up like that too much at the time, then she like, you know what? Yeah. I'm not fooling that regular no more. And ever since then, my wife she's all on premium. Why? Because you don't put as much gas in your car. You spend more money in gas putting regular in. You thinking you saving money, but you're really not, because it's burning off a lot faster. But I knew that coming from the petrochemical industry. Now it makes the gasoline. Now when they make gasoline, okay, gasoline is gasoline. Period. What the differences are is the additives. That's it. That's what make the gasoline better or just low grade. Because when they make gasoline at the plant, it's nothing special about Chevron's gas to Costco's gas. It's all just gas with the
gas is now an average of $4.11 a gallon. Diesel is what should be really concerning everyone. Diesel is what goes in trucks that delivers your food your toiletries, your household items, your kids' diapers, the formulas, the t-shirts you're wearing, shoes, auto part, fuel for your vacation. Did you know that many Americans, a third of them right now, are late on paying their bills? So paying higher gas prices in addition to everything that is going to go up because of diesel in the trucks going up dramatically. Let me remind everyone, once prices go up, they don't come down. People already could not afford to keep up with the cost of living. Wages have not kept up with these huge increases in groceries. In coffee is up 20%, my God, from tariffs alone. Just going to keep going up, and that's if we don't have a gas shortage. And by the way, a shortage of gas means we are going to pay more and more because the whole world is going to be bidding on that gas. If you found that this post was sad but informative, please like, comment, follow, and share.
You know how they're giving the black community priority, worldwide black community priority. And white Americans are in the comments of these videos going, oh, it's not me, I didn't do it. White privilege does not exist over there. And you have not deconstructed your own internalized personal racism, and it shows. Oh.
It is the presence of black people with ambition. The presence of black people with drive. The presence of black people with aspirations. The presence of black people who achieve. It's the presence of black people who refuse to accept their subjugation. The presence of black people who demand their rights. That's the trigger for white rage. And this society has therefore punished black resilience and black resolve.
So when we talk about fuel prices and fuel liking at the moment, it's eating all over the world, Ukraine, Africa. Even in Kenya, by the way, we have a fuel or gas shortage, and that is because of the Iran and USA conflict. So, of course, the American people are not left behind. They were the first to be hit within the first 1 week. They experienced fuel shortage, hikes in prices, and there have been a lot of complaints. But tonight, guys, I want us to talk about a particular pressure in the American economy that is back in the spotlight, and that is gas prices rising again. And it's really frustrating because each and every month the American people experience these particular hikes every month. For Kenya specifically, it just started like some few days ago, and we could see motorcycles and motor vehicles lining up. In Ukraine, we've seen it, they are lining up to get fuel, and I can tell you that people are frustrated, people are so sad. If you look across social media platforms, news platforms, and also conversation, if you get to hear public conversations, you will see a lot of reactions. And some Americans are expressing frustrations in an extreme manner, like extremely loudly. Some of them are calling out the leadership and the policies that have been put in place, and also they're talking about global events. So anyway, some people may seem to appear more quiet, but they are still complaining deep down their heart. Anyway, guys, this particular story that we're going to talk about in today's video, it's actually raising an important question, which is, why does the reaction look so different now? Because imagine, guys, imagine having communities, and they are divided, and there is a lot of misunderstanding and understanding, a lot. It seems to be chaotic. So in today's video, we are going to break down these reactions that you've just watched, the realities, you're going to talk about them, and the deeper economic story behind America's response to rising fuel cost or price of fuel. So gas price in the United States of America is climbing at a very, very fast pace. And of course, there is a mix of global and domestic factors that have hindered it so that at least it goes up. So, and that is the ongoing geopolitical tensions that affects the oil supply. We all know about the Strait of Hormuz, that actually what is happening, you just listen to a clip here that Iran now wants to start charging that particular Strait of Hormuz. It used to be free for the longest time. And remember, all the other canals in the world, they are being charged. The Suez Canal, the Panama Canal, there are charges that are that apply to ships that pass through there. And now for them, they want to they want to start charging, and that is why you see the tensions, the geopolitical tensions. So another factor that has actually affected fuel hikes all over the world and in America specifically, because our video is going to focus on the American soil, is the production decisions by major oil exporting countries. Those decisions are negatively affecting the world. And also, we have seasonal demand increases. Sometimes we have a, a lot of demand in oil, like people really demand oil all over the world, and hence there is a shortage. And also another thing is domestic policy debates and energy and infrastructure. All these policies that affect the three, they affect also oil prices. Either it goes up or low, but now it's going up and people are really raged. So for a normal American citizen, I mean, for these people, for them, it feels like it costs more to move, it costs more to commute and live, because most of them, in America, a car is a basic need. And for them, they commute to work. And yeah, you can understand now. So historically, gas prices have always triggered a strong public reaction, and that is because they affect everything. For a diaper to reach to you, it has to be transported, and that is gas. For grocery to reach to you, it has to reach to you and it has to be transported. And name them, everything has to go through transportation. And yeah, that means if the prices goes up, then there is a reaction, a mad reaction. So we've seen in online spaces that people have amplified these frustrations, and it is highly visible from even the reactions that we've seen. We've seen American citizens expressing anger at the pump stations. They are circulating these videos, and also we've seen politicians who are actually talking about this issue and trying to make us understand. Some are blaming each other, some are trying to use wisdom unto us to make us understand. And we are also seeing in the social media spaces, people are talking and talking and talking, especially those that are blaming the government and the leadership and global events. Yeah, they are here, they are talking, they are speaking. So this reaction is not new, by the way. It's something that was anticipated, it's something that was expected. So gas prices have long been a political flashpoint in the United States of America. And for many of American citizens, when fuel rises, of course, it symbolizes that, cost is going to be affected in one way or the other. So we will have concerns of inflation, wages, and financial instability at the same time. But again, we have the loudest reactions that most of the time comes from an already highly represented, I will say highly represented agenda in the media spaces. And of course, these perspectives of the media are more likely to be amplified, to be shared and turned into viral content, because, for them, they already have a platform. So if they just share, it reaches the world like very, very quickly within hours. So what you are seeing at the moment, even from the clips that we just watched, it may not just be who is angry, but it may be who is being heard at the moment. Anyway, some observers have noted what appears to be a silent response from the Black American community or from the Black people. But again, is this really a silence or is it something else? That's the question that people need to ask themselves, because in many cases, conversations about rising costs are happening, but they are being focused differently. And instead of isolating gas prices and discussions from center around the and also discussions often center. So instead of isolating gas prices, discussions most of the time they do they do center around broader costs of living, like the cost of rent, like cost of grocery, cost of healthcare, and job security. So for many families that is already managing an extremely tight budget, when gas prices go up, that means that things are going to be terrible, and the economy is going to be an extreme challenge for them. So if you look at the Black people, the Black community, instead of loud and isolated outrage, the response may look more like frustration expressed in everyday conversations, and just having to cope in the online community, and they tend to resign so that they don't come out here and yell, and they are in other people's land. So when they do this, it doesn't mean that they are unaffected. They are affected. It's just that they don't want to deal with it like how the other people are dealing with it, coming out, speaking the way they want, condemning the government. Black people are known to be reserved people. Anyway, guys, there is so much that we need to talk about here. And of course, we'll have to look at the economic context at the same time, because in the United States, wealth and income gaps, they still exist across different communities. And these gaps, they really, really affect how economic shocks and how the economy experienced, and how the economy is expressed at the same time. So for so many Americans, a sudden increase in gas price may feel like a sharp disruption, and for other people, it may feel like a continuation of a long standing financial pressure. So you see, like, that is the gap that exists in the American community. But of course, there is a lot of questions about visibility, because not all communities are represented equally in the viral videos. Not all frustrations are captured on camera, and not all reactions are turned into headlines. Remember that. So silence may actually be a gap in the coverage at the end of the day, not a lack of concerns. Okay, so remember, today we are in the digital world, in the digital environment, and what we see most of the time is shaped by the algorithms in the social media platforms. So contents that are dramatic, that are emotional, that are politically charged, they seem to be more likely to be promoted in these particular media spaces. And of course, this will create what you call a feedback loop, where loud reactions will get more attention, where more attention creates the impression that those reactions are dominant, and the silent ones and the silent people don't get the visibility at all. So the entire narratives can form around incompetent or incomplete pictures or videos, reactions, name them. Anyway, why do you think that one group is like outrageous, angry, and another one is silent? Why do you think so? Maybe you could comment down below. So as much as gas prices are more than just numbers on a pump, they are a reflection of global politics, national policy, and everyday economic reality. And the way Americans are responding to it, whether quietly or loudly, They tell a very deep story about lived experiences, financial pressures, and visibility. So instead of asking who is angry and who is silent, maybe it will be better if we ask ourselves, like, who is being heard and who is being overlooked. Because in moments like this, understanding the full picture, the entire story, matters more than ever. So thank you so much. If you watched the video up to this point, I do appreciate your presence. I'll see you in the next video.